it's very important to consider the fact that most speeches, especially if they are very persuasive or essentially a teaching moment for your topics, if you have something along those lines, you really need to consider how narrow you need to go with that topic. In many cases, a major problem or a major mistake that students make is picking a topic that is way too broad. And then you're either overwhelmed by the information that you find when you research, or you're unable to get it out in a way that is successful. So how do you narrow your topic? You want to ask yourself a question: what is it that I'm passionate about? And get that big broad category first. So for example, I personally am passionate about education. That's kind of a starting place. I can't do a 6 to 8 minute speech or 7 to 9 or whatever it might be on education. There's just too many things to discuss in that field. So I want to narrow it down. And I might narrow it down in my particular case to online classes, because I have taught them for eons and I'm very familiar with it and it is something I'm passionate about. So I might put online classes. However, online classes, that is a topic that can also go 100 different ways. So I want to narrow it even further. And I might think, what are some things that I either want to know or I hear people ask or whatever it might be that I feel gets me passionate, kind of is a boiling point for me, or something I get excited about. So that question, are online classes equal to face-to-face classes, would be one of those things that is something I hear a lot and also something I feel comfortable answering. And I know that there's research out there that gives information that I could easily share in a speech. However, I still think that I need to go a little bit further in terms of narrowing this topic, because it is not a statement, it's a question. So even though I've heard this before and it will work, we do want to make sure that it is formed in a way that is a persuasive statement. So if you're doing a persuasive topic, your thesis is going to need to be persuasive. So you're going to need to make sure that the topic itself lends to being a persuasive tone. So in this case, I might make the claim, colleges should not offer more online sections than face-to-face sections of a single course. And so if this is my opinion, I will need to find research to back it up. But essentially it is a persuasive topic and it will work for my purposes in this subject. So when you are ready and you have that topic, then you move to your thesis statement. And as you've seen in past videos of mine, a thesis statement is a combination of the topic and your main points. So where do you find these main points? What do you do in order to discover how to gain that information? Read up on all topics. I would recommend you start with 2. Usually looking at 2 major components of your life or things that you're passionate about or that you really want to know more about, and start there and do research on both those topics. Nothing strenuous, just kind of do a quick search in the journal articles, or do a Google Scholar search, or even a traditional Google search and see kind of what comes up. And once you see the consistencies among what you find, then you'll be able to determine what a thesis statement might look like for both of those topics. And if you have never done sort of strategic note-taking, let me give you a little bit of detail on research and what you can do in terms of strategic note-taking. So there's a couple of different options that you can do when you are doing a little bit of research on a topic. And this can be for paper writing or speech writing or what have you. One of the methods is the mapping method, and that is where you sort of put out your main topic. That would be my claim. And then I find when I'm researching another major component of it, and I will put that in my subtopic. And then each detail is laid out underneath those. What this does is really give you a big, broad view of what the research looks like and allows you to kind of keep everything organized. And it makes the speech writing that much easier. Another one is charting. And charting is similar. It's a little less visually oriented. So if you are more of a straight linear person and like to see things organized in outline format, this would be better for you. Whereas if you are more of a visual person, mapping would probably be better for you. So the main topic, you would go on the top of this particular note-taking area, and then you would have the subtopics underneath. Topic 1, Topic 2, Topic 3. And then any supporting evidence would go underneath that. So if I said that colleges should not have more online classes than face-to-face classes, I would give the reason for topic number 1, and then I would give support for that underneath it. So maybe the reason is that not all students are capable of taking online classes successfully. And then I might give statistics underneath that under point 1 about what it is that happens to students when they take online classes, and so on. So that is a great setup or choice of setups if you are unfamiliar with strategic note-taking. So I would recommend this not only for paper and speech writing, but just when you're in a college class or high school class and you need to take notes on lecture. It's very helpful. Another option, something that I've done in the past, is to make use of note cards. This uses either mapping or charting, but does it in a more hands-on. So if you're kinesthetic and you need to move things around, this is a great tool. You put major topics in one area, so these purple note cards would have been, say, the subtopics. And the yellow note cards would be, Post-its would be a bunch of facts. And the blue might be random things that you don't quite know where they fit. And then when you're ready, you can pick up and move those particular Post-its under the right categories. So you just list stuff out as you're reading. Each note card or each Post-it gets a different fact or figure or bit of information or quote or what have you. And then when you're all done with your reading, then you can reorganize those based on where they fit in the grand scheme of things. So that's another great tool for a kinesthetic person. And then finally, if you're digital, and I did this back in the past, this was a very long time ago that I made this, but it does kind of work. I like to color code personally, and I don't like having paper everywhere, so I used a digital tool. It could be GoodNotes or any other tool that you like to use, and that would allow you to sort of color code any articles you find, and then make the notes, like up here where I have student, instructor, institution, miscellaneous. As I was reading, I would highlight anything that fit into the corresponding categories. So you can see over here on this right-hand side, I've done different labels using the colors that are required for that particular label. So you can do this in a number of ways. It's completely your call. Whatever works for you. If you want to do it by including, say, the mapping, do that if you're a visual learner. If you are a strategic, linear person, you can do the charting. If you are a kinesthetic or a touch person, you can do something like this. And if you're a digital baby, then you can do something like I have done in the past. All of these work just fine, so hopefully it will work out well for you. Best of luck, guys, in your research and note